The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I started to question myself if I was watching Lucha Underground and I had accidentally flipped over to Cinemax.
Not a whole lot of faces shown as far when it comes to Brenda, so
yeah,
you're spot on there, buddy.
This is the house that AJ Styles built.
Like Nakamura, he's just such a great star. It doesn't matter what you do with him, people are going to cheer for him.
Did you feel the gloriousness? Did you feel it? Bobby Roode did his job.
This is insane how great they are.
Well, I think the authors of pain are young prodigies.
That's how good we are. Representing Bullet Club. This is what we do.
Super Kid Pate! Japan!
It was great. I never thought it would feel this good. It's been 11 years, and since the WWE Universe has seen me wrestle. I wasn't expecting to do it at last minute, but this was such an honor to do it. The Shield, to be in that ring with the Miz, guys like him, great leaders, Sheamus and Cesaro, and Kane came back for this. It was a huge night for all of us, but most of all for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling to the Max, episode 270. And we, of course, are brought to you by W2Mnet.com. That's right, the place where you go find all your great wrestling content and a lot more. And make sure you go check us out wherever you get podcasts. Maybe it's iHeartRadio, maybe you're over there on YouTube or any other place. Go search out Wrestling to the Max, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to go rate and review. That not only helps us, but it also helps us a little bit, get an understanding of what you like, what you don't like. We appreciate all the great feedback you guys give us on a regular basis. Hey, and also make sure you get some love over to Formula1Mania.com and LastWordOnProWrestling.com. Both are great, amazing websites that we really appreciate all their support. So make sure you go check them out as well. I am your host, Gary Vaughan, and along with me is Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And, tonight we do not have Sean. Sean is on duty over there on the Football to the Max show and the Soccer to the Max show, so he has a busy schedule ahead of him. So we decided we're just going to run this thing through and let Sean, kind of push to those other big shows he's got going on, and hey, it's okay. He's got a lot of stuff going on. Football season is so busy for him, and I've kind of taken a step back a little bit from football and kind of more towards wrestling, and Sean's had to do the other stuff. It's been a balance, but hey, I think we're doing just fine and really excited about what's going on over there, and I'm excited about what we have tonight here, Paul. We've got a really fun show to talk about. We've got a lot of wrestling news to get into, talking more about Anthem and Jeff Jarrett, what's going on there. We've got some news with Ricochet. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the sickness going around the WWE and some of why we got, that card on TLC. We'll be talking about all that, plus Ring of Honor, which, we'll talk about why we haven't talked Ring of Honor yet, and also Impact Wrestling. Plus, we're crowning a Superstar of the Week. So we've got a full show ahead of us. Really excited about that. But I do want to say to everybody, we definitely apologize. We didn't have a part one this week. We usually try our best to have one, but for some reason, the internet decided to tell us no.
That is exactly what happened.
And if you heard, Paul and I did the Raw review, and which, was a lot of fun, got through it, and we were like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this thing kicked off. We're going to, do episode, 270 part 1. Really excited about talking about everything, and then the internet craps out. Mm-hmm. And we're just having bad audio. Me and you both restarted our computers. We thought, oh, it's on our end. And the next thing you know, Paul's computer just says, no more internet. And that's a bad sign for us, especially since he's producing the show. So it's wild, but that happens to us off and on, Paul. And, it's kind of funny, too. And I'm sure you saw the text, too. But Sean, he, right at the end of the football show, had the exact same problem.
Yeah.
Internet goes down.
He's like 3 states away. So, for W2M, it was not meant to be at all for anybody, no matter what show you were doing.
Exactly. And, I had the internet, but I knew if I would have tried to do it by myself, my internet would have went. So I decided, let's wait. And not only that, it's a little bit of a slower news week coming off a big pay-per-view. So, I think it kind of worked for us a little bit here because now we've got a full slate of news for everybody. We've got Ring of Honor, and since, we're not doing Lucha tonight, it's not there anymore until later on.
Yeah.
And so we've got some good stuff to talk about. But once again, we do apologize. I know a lot of you out there that are regular listeners probably were very disappointed not to have a show to listen to this week. But hey, we're going to have a super show here for you, and we're really excited about doing it. So, yeah, things happen. Just where it works out. Maybe it's the thing of Halloween's coming, and the ghosts are already attacking us. Whatever it is, something's going on here. Something very paranormal, Paul.
God, I hope not. It better not be clowns.
Oh, boy. Oh, I can't. I know. I'm
you
right
go
there.
and make a nit joke on the air about wrestling, and suddenly you got clowns cutting your internet. It's just, oh boy.
That would be pretty terrifying, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
Pennywise outside with the scissors over a bunch of cables.
We all have a little fun, but you guys will not. Click.
Oh, dang it. Now I'm scared to go outside.
Yeah. Well, now I'm a little bit scared to go into Mexico now because every time I see these clips of AAA and all those horns honking and all that, and now I'm terrified. So, all the clown stuff.
Clowns everywhere.
Can't sleep. They're going to eat me. Anyway, well, there you go, guys. That's our phobia for the week, clowns. But yeah, we are excited. We're going to talk some wrestling news. So let's go ahead and do that, Paul. Let's jump into these quick hits.
Let's do it.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Take it away, Gary.
Alrighty, well, let's start this thing off by talking a little bit about what's going on over there in Anthem's world. Now, as of last week, we're still unsure of what was going on. We had all the rumors going around that Jeff Jarrett, being on that leave of absence was meant to be a lot more of a leave, and that was that he was going to be for sure gone. And as of this past weekend, it is true. It is official. Jeff Jarrett is gone from Anthem, and they are no longer going to have any connections with GFW. So they will be rebranding. Who knows what it'll be called, if it's just going to stick around to being Impact or what. But there will be no longer any connection with Jeff Jarrett or Anthem having anything to do with GFW as well. So this is interesting for many, many reasons. One is the fact that, there were those rumors going around in the reports that Jeff Jarrett, he showed up drunk to an event in Canada, and that was one of the biggest signs for them to say this may not be a very healthy relationship for us to have, especially with a guy that we kind of consider one of the more, important people to our creative team and to running this business. Not a very good partner when you have someone who, is intoxicated on the job. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing here is the fact that Jeff Jarrett had, since, come out to, say a few things like, saying that Anthem is out of money. And that's a big shot towards them. And of course they denied that. But that's a big shot towards this company, especially with all the rumors going around about them trying to sell it, things like that. So this has been a big problem. And I think Anthem feels like that they're stepping away from Jeff Jarrett to kind of clear up that problem. What's your initial thought over this? We've kind of talked about this about a few times, but now that it's official, now that Jeff Jarrett's gone, where do you see this going and all that has taken place?
Boy, this has just been a whirlwind of stuff that got even stranger yesterday, too, because Jeff Jarrett has now checked into a rehab facility, Gary, and it was set up through the WWE and their sponsored rehab program for all former employees, which is, I mean, not just everybody's involved, right? It's crazy. I mean, at least Jeff is now getting the help that he needs. This isn't the first time in many, many years that we've heard him being drunk at shows or being inebriated elsewhere and all these other problems that he's had. So it's good that this is happening for him, at least on that personal note. As far as, I mean, Impact and Global Force and Anthem and all that go, like, this just gets messier for a company that keeps making a mess of things now, because you just spent the last, 2-3 months rebranding into maybe not even 3, maybe just 2.5, but turning Impact into GFW, rebranding all your championships, doing all these things to sort of buddy up and combine, and then suddenly it's off the table, and you're left with a very large mess to sort through going into your biggest pay-per-view of the year with this big move to Canada. Can anybody take this place seriously anymore? Is everything they're doing going to be enough to help anymore after this? Because, I mean, the bullet after bullet after bullet thing just keeps happening to them. Like, they just can't get out of the way of bad stuff happening to them and making the news for all the wrong reasons.
I'm right there with you. Mm-hmm. And I have all those same exact questions for all those reasons. And here's the thing. I think every rumor we've heard has seemed to come out pretty close to true. Mm-hmm. This Jeff Jarrett rumor, I really do feel like the sale of Anthem's, wrestling company, whatever it's called now, because it's almost hard. You don't know if to call it Impact, you don't know if to call it Global. Yeah. You don't even know what to call it anymore.
We have no idea.
So I'm going to call it the wrestling company that Anthem owns. And you don't know if it's true, but you just kind of have that gut feeling that they've been shopping it. And they want to see if there's anyone interested. And it's just too bad that they let, a guy that had a little bit of money and, Billy Corgan, step away and invest somewhere else. So now they're trying to find somebody else. And I really feel like if they can get out of this, I think they're going to. Now, they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to look like they were wrong. So this is the worst time for them to sell, right? Coming into this whole situation, it looked really positive for the fact that they were taking it away from a regime that was really not well liked, that people were considering a failure in Dixie Carter. They tried a few things. They really didn't. Of course, the Billy Corgan stuff was not their favorite. They kind of cleaned house with that stuff. They really felt like Jeff Jarrett was going to come in here. And he promised him a lot. Jeff Jarrett's a great talker. He's a great salesman. He'll sell you anything. And they bought into his product, everything that he had to offer. That got Jeff Jarrett TV for his Global Force guys. It got them, the guy that started this company, back in place. And all those things seem very well. But now, the way things are shaken out, now they're back at square one, if not taking steps backwards. And they're looking at this thing as a no-win situation for them. I think they kind of see that if they are ever going to be anything big, it's going to take a long time. And are they willing to put the money into it? I don't really think so. I think at some point they're going to drag it out till things clear up, till we kind of forget about this maybe, and then say, oh, well, we're just deciding to sell it. We're too successful, but we're going to sell it. Bring out something like that so Anthem does not look like they just made the dumbest investment that they've ever made. And which I don't blame him. Would you, Paul? I mean, I would have a hard time, acting like, oh, I'm sorry, I was a complete idiot,
Yeah, I don't know if this means they're going to sell it or if this is finally what does them in or not. I think Anthem might be playing a wait-and-see game and see how this weekend plans out for them, or not this weekend, but the next one coming up for the Bound for Glory shows where they're running all of these wrestling shows back to back to back across 5 days, starting with Bound for Glory, going into Impact Wrestling tapings and all this stuff. If it's truly gotten this much cheaper for them to run in Canada, then maybe they'll still stick with it and see if they can't fish something out of it, because it's come out multiple times that this is one of their bigger rated shows across their networks in Canada and overseas as well. And if it can float there, then, why not? Keep it going, and if it turns into something big for you, then great. If not, you have your own personal programming. That's, basically what a lot of people are after nowadays is, personal content. If not, maybe we do see them try to turn around and sell it next year or the year after, or however long it's going to take for them to try to make something back out of this without just straight up vaporizing the company, right? As sure as I was that the company was going to live to see a couple more years at the start of this deal with Global Force Wrestling, I think we're maybe back to being a little bit more worried than we should be at this point. 'Cause, a lot of people were saying some positive things about the turnaround, even though I don't think we were, because the company still basically felt the same. This is, you don't really have a lot of faith at all if you had any to gain back the first time around whenever the company and GFW got together. Now you got to be super worried if you had anything left, and you're running out of straws, chances, hopes, whatever you got left for this company. You got to be down to nil at this point.
Yeah, and you're totally right about that. And for what we're seeing right now on television with Impact, this is all old. This is all really old. I don't know how old, but it's old. You still have Jim Cornette on TV, which he's been gone for, oh my God, like 4 weeks now, 5 weeks. It's been a while. And, I don't know if they taped everything up until Bound for Glory, which I'm assuming. So, all this stuff is old. A lot of the people you're seeing are gone. And, I know they lost Taryn Terrell. I think, isn't Taya gone too now?
I didn't know Taya was gone.
No, she may not be. I may be confused. No, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I think it's straight up Taryn Terrell. But I know there's a few other names out here that, I'm probably forgetting that are not basically with this company anymore.
Right.
And you really question, coming out of Bound for Glory, what you're going to have. Who's still going to be around? Cutting that GFW connection, how is that going to affect things? Is it going to affect anything on the partnerships that they've made, things like that, right? So there's a lot of questions here still to be answered, and you're right. Who's to know following all this other stuff? But, we have yet to see just a giant change in this company through regime changes, through ownership. And it's a really big problem, I think, for them, because they really need to find their niche, to find something that makes them special. And I think they're trying. Don't get me wrong. And if you're an Impact fan, this is not, hey, they're crapping on Impact. No, we're just concerned. And I really am concerned because there's so many guys on the Impact roster that I really like. I really do like Eli Drake. I've come a long way to realize that this guy does have talent, and he's somebody that I think will give me a lot more if they keep him around as a champion or around the mid card or up. But him and of course EC3 and the list goes on. There's a few guys here that I really, really love to watch every week. So I don't want them to be gone. And I love the idea that they've got going on right now where they're going around the world and things like that. That makes them so different. Like there's nobody else that's doing that on TV. No one is showing matches from Japan, Mexico, Canada, and America. They're not doing that. And this is something that they've kind of come up with. Sure, it may be a little cheesy at times, maybe a little wonky, but it makes them different. Why did we love Lucha Underground? Lucha Underground gave you sci-fi with wrestling. Now this is giving you something completely different than what you get in WWE. So they need to continue those things. They need to get better and continue to, and maybe they will. But I think, once again, those concerns are still there. And how much can Anthem really do following all these different things? And, Jeff Jarrett being gone is definitely not the end of the world. Jeff Jarrett is his own entity, has his own things. He did bring something to it, but who knows? The test will tell of time of really what Jeff Jarrett really did offer them.
Right. So, yeah, you're absolutely right on all those counts.
And here's the thing, Jeff Jarrett himself, like you said, I'm glad he's getting help, right? And I'm really happy for him. I do have my concerns because this guy has invested a lot of his time, money, efforts, and really trying to do something special. And I think this is a big kick in the gut to him. I really, really do. And I think that's why he's probably resorted back to what he sadly has done before, and that's alcohol. And I really hope he can work those things and find his happy niche. WB is, they're really good on this, and they really have offered people help even when they're really, let's be honest, on the opposite side of the coin of the company. They don't care. They're gonna support you even if they really don't have a lot of good ties with you. And I'm glad to see that once again we have another situation where they didn't have to do anything, but they still do it. And hopefully Jeff Jarrett comes out of this good. Hopefully Anthem finds their niche and finds something that makes them better. But, like you said, the picture right now is not looking beautiful. Right now it's looking a little ragged.
Very ragged.
So, we'll keep people posted. I mean, once again, Anthem, cutting connections with GFW, cutting connections with Jeff Jarrett. We will only find out in time if this is actually going to mean anything, and we'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to some news when it comes about What Culture. And What Culture has had some different has some different people working with them, and as of late, they've had some people kind of take off and do their own thing, and one of those people is alum Adam Blampede, and this guy, has been, better known as Bumpy, if you know him as that. And he's, of course, one of those more popular guys in that company, I believe, Paul. And
I know. I think he was the one in basically booking What Culture for a little bit, if I remember correctly. I'm not super familiar with the promotion, so.
Yeah, I'm not either. I know that he's pretty well known over there, though. I've heard his name for sure, so I would assume he is, at least involved pretty heavily with the company. He had to announce, though, recently that he is taking his leave of absence, and this is because he has been found soliciting photos of women, and these are nude, of course. So he has found it in his best interest, in the best interest of What Culture, to kind of step away. This is, something that we've seen rampant in the wrestling business as of late. Of course, WB has been in the news more than anybody else, but here we go again, Paul. Somebody else who's, kind of having to get the egg off their face.
Mm-hmm. He's left Cultaholics, by the way. He left What Culture a while ago to found Cultaholics with a bunch of new people that were going to run their own promotion, I believe, as well as far as wrestling went. And that's all sort of at least fallen away for him as he stepped away. He was head of creative for that company. He stepped away. He issued a public apology. One of the women who he apparently solicited nude photos from. It's a bigger deal too because he's sort of manipulating. I guess it's not. I don't know if it's manipulation. One of those terms there that follows on. Basically, it's not just some drunk guy going, hey, send nudes. It's a guy constantly asking for them and all these other things. This is a large problem that you see, I think, basically everywhere right now. I mean, this is a big deal, at least for Harvey Weinstein, who's obviously done much more horrible things than this guy, but this is still not cool. Like I said, one of the women came out and started saying stuff on Twitter about how the interactions went and basically called him a big piece of trash. So, it's kind of hard to feel bad for this guy, Gary, whenever you're doing stuff like this.
Yeah, it really is. And, it's so hard with the internet now for the fact that, you can't get away with anything. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. And I think the old timers have said this over and over and over again about, the wrestling business in general is thank God that they didn't have cameras back when those guys were doing their stuff and running around and causing problems. And I mean, my God, Roddy Piper would probably been vilified in real life if people would have known what he really was all about. And there's several of those guys, and for the superstars today, you do feel bad for those folks for the fact that they can't just have a personal life on Facebook, on Twitter, or any other social platform because, well, people take things too far. If you have anything that can be hacked, they're going to hack your photos. If you have any nudes, they're going to find them. And now the good thing is we do find the people that are doing the things that are not right. We can vilify them, and I don't really feel bad for this guy. Mm-hmm. Lumpy made his decisions, and that is what it is. And, I'm glad that he's exposed if he's doing things that are not good. I really am. And I hope anybody that's not doing things that are good do get exposed. But it just shows you once again, you can't just get on the internet and do things and expect to not get caught, especially when you're a public figure like that or a figure of any kind of sort of fame, right? Mm-hmm. And here we go again. I mean, once again, someone's exposed and on we go. I mean, I really don't know what else to say about it, Paul, to be honest with you.
I don't either. I mean, it's just a symptom of a larger problem that may or may not be exclusive to the U.S. now, at least with this. But I mean, this stuff like this unfortunately comes out all the time in the States, and it's never a happy occasion. It's never a good occasion. But I mean, there's definitely a culture around this, I think, universally. I don't think it's just us.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're right. And, sadly, you're going to get more of this. We'll be talking about somebody else in a couple of weeks, and we'll keep it on. So this will be a continual thing. But it's just proof, once again, if you're on social media, be smart.
Yeah.
If you're using the internet in general, be smart, because it's not just about you being on social media. It's about the fact that there are hackers out there, and you'll get exposed. So, I mentioned Terrence Terrell a little while ago, and I should have kind of brought this out too, but I think it's important for us to know before we kind of move on past the Impact stuff. The reason Terrence Terrell did leave Impact wasn't because she was angry at anybody or anything like that, but they are moving their tapings to Canada, as Paul mentioned. And that's a problem for Terrence Terrell because she can't get in the country. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have some of those superstars that can't cross borders have problems like Terrence Terrell. And, I do feel bad because just got back in the company. But, when you have problems with the law, Canada or the U.S., vice versa, they're not really happy with you going over the border.
Yeah. I mean, reportedly, too, Taryn is not upset about it. The split was amicable. I almost said that wrong the first time. So, like you said, if maybe the Hardys were still around, this might have been a problem for Jeff, right? Because he can't leave the country still. So, I mean, if anybody down there in Impact still has problems or has basically committed felonies, you can't leave the country. That's just how it works. So, could maybe be another reason why we see some people leaving the company in the future too, as Gary just said. But still, it's not injury related like it's been reported on TV. It's just because she can't go to Canada.
Yeah, exactly. So understand that's what happened, and maybe things will get figured out later down the line. But that's a lot of political stuff and a lot of things to figure out between borders. So
yeah.
Here's the big thing going around right now, and this is something I was kind of excited about talking about for the fact that it's a big deal, and WB is having a lot of issues with this right now. And the reason we saw TLC not evolve into the show we thought it would be was because two guys for sure, Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt, both had illness, and the illness was the mumps. And there's also other superstars out there dealing with the same thing, the mumps. This has been kind of rampant in the WWE roster, and they've tried their best to stop it. They've actually got a lot of their superstars shots to prevent the mumps if they don't already have it. They've also kind of, to be honest with you, tried to regulate who's been showing up at TV because of the fact that, that it's kind of running rampant throughout the entire roster. So guys like Bo Dallas, you had JoJo, both people who kind of surround themselves around Bray Wyatt not be allowed to come because, well, we don't want to make sure that if you do have it, you don't bring it back over here, things like that. So they're trying to be preemptive and make sure that they quarantine in a fashion those that are sick or those that could be sick and get this roster back to healthy. And it's interesting that, this has become a big all of a sudden problem, but this happens. This happens at workplaces. This happens in many other sorts of, venues where people are all together in one place. So I get it. This is, something they're having to deal with, but I'll be honest with you. I don't remember the last time this has happened, but, this is why we've, have not seen those people on the TV.
Yeah, first I want to apologize. I believe I reported meningitis last week, and that's sort of what was going around, but that's not the case. So at least, I mean, mumps is still serious, but it's nowhere near as serious as meningitis, which can kill you. So,
Yeah.
And secondly, too, if you're wondering how this got, Roman is supposedly a travel buddy with Bray. I think Bo also travels with them as well. So that's sort of why they've been taken off. And Roman is reportedly supposed to be back maybe in time for Survivor Series, depending, I guess, on how all that's shaking out for him. But there's still reports floating around, too, that WWE is worried that people are still going to contract, that this is going to continue to be a problem for him. And that's a little scary. Usually I think the big infection people always worry about today as far as sports go is staph. And it's been that way since, at least I've been around, at least competing in sports since middle school or so, as far as team sports and all that goes. And that's been some years now. Talking maybe 15, more than that. Maybe
aging
20.
yourself there.
Yeah. But, mumps though, Gary, that's, it's the kissing disease. Who's been kissing who? Maybe that's the question.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that goes back to that original Triple H theme music, right? Who's sleeping with who? So, Bo, lay off kissing Roman for a while, man.
Yeah.
It's not cool. Not
Calm
cool
down, guys. I understand you get excited, but,
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing, and I honestly, it was bad because I kind of started to blame JoJo. But
so did the internet.
Yeah.
There were some not so kind stories going around that JoJo maybe had been getting around, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, if you will. Right?
If you will, yeah.
No, well, we won't be one of those. We will not blame
no.
JoJo. No, this honestly happens, and you don't know what, like you said in sports, right? There's a lot of close connection with people, a lot of close quarters. You share a locker room. Sometimes you share a drinking, eating area, things like that. So who knows, right? I mean, for all we know, those guys pass around water bottles like, hey, here, have some water,
Yeah.
It doesn't, sometimes bother them, whereas me, I'd be like, I'll get my own. Some of those guys are like, oh, whatever, cool, take it and drink it. Nonetheless, this is just something that happens. I don't blame anybody specifically. You just got to get past it. That's what WWE's trying to do. Yeah. But like you said, this is still possibly a situation, and we may see other guys not be able to be on the programming because of the sickness, and that could really hit the company hard, especially if some of the bigger names are taken off. Roman Reigns, you can't really get much bigger than that, but you got guys like AJ Styles who are in the company who, they rely on him to sell tickets, and plenty of these other guys that are in that upper echelon who, bring in the revenue and bring in people to buy those, pay-per-views or buy the network to watch them. They're not going to want to lose out on having those guys on these major pay-per-views, especially going into Survivor Series, right? All you need is the Miz getting sick with the mumps, and then guess what? Who's Baron Corbin going to wrestle? and then what if the New Day contracted it? Guys like that who really get people going to these shows. So you just hope the best, right? And you don't want to definitely go into the Performance Center. So maybe I honestly wonder if they've kind of kept some of the main superstars from going to the Performance Center for that reason, right?
Maybe. I would certainly think so. You don't want you want to keep this as low exposure as possible. It might be a reason why they took Braun off the road, right? He's another road buddy with Roman and those guys. So, maybe that's why he got eaten by a trash compactor.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll fix your mumps.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Squeeze them right out of you.
Yeah.
God. But yeah, it's interesting. But now, they've got, this disease going around the locker room, and it's not Paige. But now, I think she's in the locker room now. So maybe they're worried about that.
I don't know if she's gotten back on the road with them or not yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very interested. It's kind of funny. I'm mentioning Paige. I was going through some of the WWE.com videos and stuff, and they actually were showing a match between her and Charlotte. So it makes me wonder if they're getting closer.
Huh.
So I just thought, why are they showing a full match of them in a Divas title match? Like, what's this reasoning? And I'm thinking, maybe they're trying to get us a clue that she's coming back.
Mm-hmm. Maybe so.
So it makes you also wonder, Survivor Series, what if she pops up?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so you just never know. So I just want to throw that out there, just a little tidbit of information. So, we've got some other things going on in WWE that does not involve sickness, but it does involve an ab contest. Yeah, that's right. Shawn Michaels is going to be involved in an ab contest with Johnny Gargano coming up here at War Games for NXT. Oh, man, Paul, I can't tell you how excited I am for this.
I mean, let me reveal to you guys real quick why I bought tickets to this show. This is it. This was it.
Front row, baby. You get a clear view picture of those abs, right?
This came out on Shawn Michaels' Twitter. Him and Gargano did a video talking about all this. Shawn Michaels is also going to be guest refereeing an NXT title match at the house show out in San Antonio, which I forgot to mention. Ring of Honor's added Kenny Omega to that show to sort of compete, so take that. But
oh man, I know, and I saw everybody blow up on that. How excited they are! So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mostly put this on here to see if we could make any jokes, and I think we accomplished that. So, I don't know if this is going to make TV or not either. By the way, guys, I don't know if this is just going to happen like in a dark segment. But Shawn Michaels says official. That's good enough for me.
It's got to happen on TV. Come on. You can't keep abs away from us. I mean, come on. I get it. Yes, I'm more of a pectoral guy. But, right. Come on. Give me a little bit of both, right? I mean, come on. Make us think about, the old playgirl Shawn Michaels versus Johnny Gargano and his, Well, I'll stop there.
Yeah, I'm going to see if you can dig yourself out of that hole. That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, I started thinking, this is getting a little creepy. As if I need to get creepier. So we'll move on. We'll talk about Ricochet. How about that? That sounds really good. Just let everybody know, Ricochet is not going to be taking any bookings past January. So that makes us, think a little bit more closer to that WWE booking. It's almost like it's a clear-cut picture, even though we were afraid to say that, Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not officially reported anywhere that I found. People are already talking Royal Rumble for this guy. His Lucha contract supposedly expires on January 16th. That would give him plenty of time to... if the deal's not official, make the deal and then maybe show up in that match, possibly. So, who knows? Last time that happened for WWE, they kind of got a megastar in AJ. So, do they want to go to that well again?
Yeah, exactly. That's, to me, it's really important for, I think, a lot of these fans who don't know who Ricochet is to get a chance to see a guy like that on a big platform. Mm-hmm. And, AJ, you're right. AJ was a huge deal. And not only that, the crowd popped so big for AJ when his music hit and they saw him come out. And, there were rumors going around, but they had not officially said, if I remember right, that AJ was there. I think he was a huge surprise. And I think they're going to do the same with Ricochet. Even though the internet will still kind of know, I think it'll still be a huge surprise for a lot of people. And I'm super stoked for that. I really hope it is Royal Rumble when it happens. They could wait, of course, keep him slow burn and get him on, WrestleMania or post-WrestleMania. But I think Royal Rumble is the best time to do it. It worked with AJ. I think it could definitely work with him. And I think people are going to love this guy. I really, really do.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to once you see him do what he can in the ring. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. And what do you assume? No mask or mask? How do you think they're going to approach him?
I don't even know if they're going to let him keep his name or not, Don't get me wrong, WWE does love them just single-name guys, but, is he even going to, like, Royal Rumble's just a pipe dream, I think. If this isn't saying he won't end up in NXT first, just because he does have a more independent-minded moveset, I think, when it comes to what WWE will allow and won't allow. And it's not to say that AJ didn't, but he was certainly older, by the time he got there. He'd been around. Slowing down or changing pace for him, I don't think it was ever going to be a problem like it might be for Ricochet. And that's also not supposing that they want him for 205 Live, which I know he's vehemently said he won't sign with them if that's what it was. So who knows? And maybe they've learned their lesson with Neville.
I think, I was about to say, I think they could have learned their lesson. And I think coming into this, there will be a clause in his contract that says you can't keep him at 205. I really do. I have a really strong feeling that's going to be the case because Ricochet can make lots of money on the indies. It does not have to really worry about joining up with WWE to make good money. But saying that, I think WWE wants a guy like this. I think they see the writing on the wall of how much money they can make with him. They just got to be able to make those compensations to that contract, you know?
Right.
So I don't know. I have a gut feeling, though, that, you know, if this does happen, I think they're going to make it a very, very big deal. Because, hey, you know, WWE is not stupid. They're really not. I know as much as we kind of look at some of their decisions as wonky and kind of silly, sometimes those decisions actually work out better in their way, and I think, man, I was an idiot. And then other times, like, I was right, you know, so you just don't know. But if, from my point of view, I know NXT would do him a lot of good, but I think that big name that he has on the indie circuit, on the internet, it means so much for people to see him hop in and just go straight to the main roster where he can start doing things. And I think that makes the internet chatter more and more about WWE than it does about, New Japan, you know, Ring of Honor, any of the places he could go.
Yeah, I think that might be the chief reason why they're signing him, too, is just get him away, get that big name away from the independent scene, who I would argue might be their biggest competition right now.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird to say that, Paul, but you're very, very right. The internet is its own TV network, and it's caused this, you know, issue between WB and a lot of these other guys on the indie circuit where they're competing with them more than they are anybody over there at Impact, and, you know, Ring of Honor is kind of staying in the same place that it just has been.
Yeah.
So as much as I love Ring of Honor, it's kind of staying in one spot. So, but yeah, so, you know, let's look forward to Ricochet. I'm really excited about, you know, when he decides to, you know, do whatever he's doing over there and WB decides what they want to do with him. Let's talk about something else that's interesting before we move on and pass quick hits. Let's talk a little bit about Matt Riddle and Jeff Cobb. Now, both these guys are supposed to be joining up and moving into the World Tag League that New Japan holds. But that may not be apparent, Paul. Can you tell us a little bit what's going on here?
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, some shaky reports were coming out that it was all but a done deal that Matt Riddle, Jeff Cobb, the Chosen Bros were 100% a done deal for World Tag League for New Japan in December. And I'm glad I didn't necessarily trust the source, whereas I trust this one more because this just makes sense. Jeff Cobb still looks to be heading that way for World Tag League. Matt Riddle, however, supposedly that deal has fallen through because New Japan's parent company, Bushiroad, has learned about his drug test failures for marijuana in the UFC. And as we saw with Matt Sydal, that just does not fly over in Japan. So he's no longer going to be participating. So if you had dreams of Chosen Bros in New Japan, half of that a dream is still alive. The other half, sadly, has fallen to the wayside.
Yeah, that's a huge bummer. It really is, because those two guys together would have really added to that tag league. And, man, you hate to hear this, but I get it, really. I understand. New Japan and, you know, of course, you know, the country itself of Japan, they really take this serious. And you're right. Evan Bourne found himself in this situation. Matt Sydal, right? Found himself in jail.
Yeah.
over this. And they don't play. They love wrestling, and they have a really high respect for those guys. But when you're talking about drugs, they don't play. And I totally get this, but, you know, these guys, you know, have to understand that, you know, what you do before you get into a company or wherever you go, it's going to follow you. And, you know, we've seen this in sports in all very many categories, you know, whether it be NFL, college football, even with guys getting in trouble in high school, things like that. I mean, you just see this, you know, and I feel bad for him. I really do. I think Matt Riddle's a really, you know, a great contender, really great competitor, but just, you know, has kind of had to pay the price for his past mistakes. And so he's doing it now. So let's just hope the best for them, and let's see for Jeff Cobb, what's next, and maybe a new tag partner or what.
That is the rumor, is apparently a new tag partner. I don't know if Elgin's going to be tagging up with Tanahashi again this year or not, because that's the usual tag team for those guys. But, I mean, Elgin and Cobb would just be a wonderful team that I'd be down to see, for sure.
Oh, yeah. How could you go wrong with Elgin, for sure?
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. So, well, there you go, folks. That is our quick hits for this week. I hope you enjoyed them. We'll have definitely some more big quick hits, next week. But now we are going to move on. We are going to be jumping into some Ring of Honor. I know it's weird, right? On the Friday show, we're talking Ring of Honor. Well, we get a chance to do it on Tuesday, so we're going to do it now. So here we go.
All right, sorry about that, guys. My mouse decided to not want to move when I told it to. So,
gosh darn mouse, you need to learn its lesson.
Been listening to my internet too much, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there you
go. So Ring of Honor opens this week with the villain Marty Scrull taking on Jay White, and this is pretty darn good, if you ask me. You get about 10 minutes or so. Marty ends up pulling out all the stops, basically, because Jay White seems to go move for move for him. Hits him with a low blow while the referee is looking away. Small package. 1, 2, 3. Marty Scrull is your winner.
Yeah, you're right. This is a really well done match, and how could you not honestly just say that when you read it on paper? Mm-hmm. I mean, you expect what they gave you, and they really did do a solid job here. I thought it was a great way to get the crowd pumped up for this show. It was so much fun, and in the end, I think it worked out the best way for us to still look at Marty Scrull as a cheater and does all those kind of things, because you had Jay White coming out and looking like he could win this, and he probably could have, but I think it was just a very evenly done matchup. I appreciated it, and there you go. I mean, the villain continues to do his stuff, and Jay White still looking great as ever. I'm really, really happy with what they're doing here. How long is his excursion? I mean, does he could stick around for a while? So
there's some rumors going around that he might end up back in New Japan for the tag league this year as well. It's not definite or anything like that, but maybe him and Juice Robinson pairing has been batted around. Although I think him and David Finlay would make for the better team, it's unknown still at this point. So,
okay. I was wondering how long we have before we lose these great matches.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, because I'm game every time they give me these kind of matches. I'm loving it, and so this is once again a great way to start the show.
Yeah, for sure. We then get into some dueling promo stuff. The Addiction get some time to basically restate everything. They hate RoH. They talk down Kushida. They talk down Jay Lethal for all the interactions they had last week on RoH TV. And then it flips over to Jay Lethal after commercial break to basically rebuttal. He's still angry at the Addiction for costing him his shot at being the champion once again back at the Honor Rumble. But more importantly, he's sick and tired of people jumping on Ring of Honor. So he's going to step up and defend it and make sure that nobody disrespects the company again.
This is fine. Yeah. I really expected a lot more out of this whole feud. Mm-hmm. I really did. And all of a sudden, that little spark has definitely dwindled into a candle. Just slowly just sitting there on the counter looking at it, but not really all that just enthused, right? Mm-hmm. I expected, a really hot burning fire from this, because I really love the idea that the Addiction were jerks. They were ruining things for Ring of Honor, and I expected, maybe I'm just expecting too much, but I expected really something that had a lot more heat to it. And this just does not. It seems like it has definitely kind of gone down, and I think the promos and things are okay. Can't say that I'm overly joyful over them, but it is what it is. I think the match, whenever they have the match, will be really fun, just because the Addiction's great, Jay Lethal's great, and Kushida's, Kushida, he's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, though. To defend Ring of Honor, you have Kushida, who's not even a Ring of Honor talent.
A mainstay for sure. I I think your candle analogy is pretty spot on here. And I'm going to go a scented candle, too, because it smells good. It just doesn't look all that impressive. And maybe that's just because of where it is right now. Honestly, this hasn't been going very long, and they've taken this a lot of different ways, right? The Addiction's now gotten on Jay Lethal's bad side since the feud with Silas is over. And there's still the heat burning over the tag team title match back at Death Before Dishonor, where they essentially cost the Young Bucks the match against the Motor City Machine Guns, and essentially seems to be setting up for another ladder war, once again at Final Battle, to see if they can recapture the magic. And it's basically just a waiting game, so I think there's good stuff to come. It's just this stuff wasn't particularly inspired. This is just getting through another week kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's fine and dandy, but yeah, you really need to start working on getting this thing going if you want people to continue to latch on and hold on to those bigger things coming our way. Right? I mean, at least give us those peaks, and we'll take the valleys here and there, but give us some more peaks. Come on.
Yeah, I think a nice hot angle going into all this would be great, but Ring of Honor always seems to prefer the slow burn unless it's going to be a short feud. If regular to long stuff is usually, they like to tease it out some, so.
Yeah.
After all that, we get the Dogs, which of course is Will Ferrara and Rhett Titus teaming up to take on the Tempura Boys, who are obviously now much evolved into Rapagni 3K and look way different than what you're seeing on television now. But
yeah,
the Dogs end up getting the win here in a pretty competitive match. Their finisher is called "Who Let the Dogs Out, Gary," which made me just cringe and hate them more.
Oh, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah,
I really don't. The Dogs are fine. They need to win these matches. They really do, and they're doing their thing, and it all has worked out for what it needs to. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a fine little bout here. They get the job done. Nothing overly crazy. They've. The one thing I will say is the Tempura Boys really, to me, are impressing me. They've really come a long way from when I first saw them, and I think they've grown at being here at Ring of Honor. I really, really feel that way, and I was on their side the entire way, just loving it, enjoyed them. I've had a lot of fun rooting for those guys. They didn't win, but still, I had a lot of fun rooting for them. So I got to give them that kind of credit.
Yeah, I mean, so far since they've shown up again in New Japan post-excursion, they've looked phenomenal. So, clearly their time in Ring of Honor did a lot of good for them, even though I'm sure a lot of the stuff was already there. These guys have been looking great since they were young lions in New Japan coming out of the dojo. So, Bullet Club gets some promo time to basically just be silly Bullet Club. They make Adam Page makes a dick joke about how big it is, but they don't let him finish it, and they just laugh maniacally for about 20 seconds. It's a little uncomfortable, I think, at the end.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. As I was sitting here watching Ring of Honor, my wife was on her phone, on the couch, and I was just waiting for her just to go, "This is stupid." And she didn't, she just kind of continued looking at her phone. But I was like, good God, how long is this laugh going to last? They go to commercial break, come back from commercial break. They're still laughing. Yeah. So that did make me kind of think it's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, it's the Bullet Club, right? These are the kind of things they kind of get away with and kind of do. Nothing over the top. It was just, something kind of fun.
Yeah, it's just fun times with Bullet Club. That, we're only like 30 minutes into runtime on the show, so with half of it left, they start up the number one contendership 4-way survival match between Shane Taylor, Punishment Martinez, Chuck Taylor, or Chucky T as he's called in Ring of Honor, and Mark Briscoe, for the Ring of Honor title, or TV title, excuse me. You have Caprice Coleman on commentary to reveal he's going to have Kenny King on the pulpit next week, and this was just a really fun match. Shane Taylor has looked incredibly impressive in all of his single outings here in Ring of Honor so far. We already know where the other three guys are basically at this point. Punishment does a step-up somersault plancha. The dude's 6'7", doing stuff that ACH used to do, Gary. Like, this is crazy impressive to me.
this is why I love him.
Yeah.
This is exactly, oh my God. I mean, this guy is just too much. But that's what, needs to happen. They need to have these kind of guys, and I really, really love what Punishment Martinez is doing. I'm right there. Shane Taylor. Oh, man.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Really, man, working his butt off over here at Ring of Honor. So I love what we got here. I think everybody involved did an excellent job. I love those interactions, though, between Shane Taylor and Punisher Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they felt at times, they kind of teased it and they kind of went away from it. Then they got to do it again. And oh, boy, it was just a blast to watch. And I really will have to say that I enjoyed it. I really, really did. I think they did a great job here. And Mark Briscoe being, and the other big guy involved in this match, he did what he had to do, and he, earned his victory, even though, really at the end of the day, I didn't really find him to be really the highlight of this match.
Yeah, I think he was definitely in the background, and this very much did feel like focusing on the other three guys to make sure they looked strong, especially coming down the stretch. Yeah, Shane Taylor hit that big right hand that basically knocks people out. He hits it on Punishment while he's on the top rope, and he basically, falls. He's draped across the top rope, which is going to come to play later. Chuck A.T. then absolutely kills Shane Taylor with a short pile driver that made me super nervous that Shane may or may not be dead. And then Mark Briscoe comes off the top rope, standing off of Punishment Martinez's back to hit the Froggy Bow on the now downed Chuck E.T. to get the victory. So he's your number one contender going forward. However, we do know he has an elbow injury. 8 to 10 weeks is still the reported time. So whenever this title match is going to happen is sort of up in the air. And we'll have to see going into Ring of Honor TV in the future, because they had to rewrite the tapings they just did recently out at Philly about how this is going to affect it. But post-match, you have Jay Briscoe come out, yell at Mark, wondering if he's still a Briscoe or not, if he's really focused on chasing singles glory instead of running with him now. So more teases here between Jay and Mark, and this won't be the first time that they've split them. But this might be the most interesting time to do it, especially with all the drama circling around Bully Ray.
I agree with you 100%, because, once that was, kind of come into to play, I started thinking to myself, oh, I see the storyline here, because we had, Jay come out and really kind of talk to Bully and say, I'm behind you and I support you, and Mark is nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. And Mark really never explained himself, I don't believe. I don't remember the explanation for what he did. So,
other way around. Jay's the one who hurt Bully.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Jay. I'm going crazy here. But anyway, it's just really interesting the way this is all kind of shaken out, and the way things have kind of came into play. So I think the storyline, to me, it has a lot of legs. I really, really do, and I think they're going to do a good job with it, because, like you said, they've done this before.
Yeah. They, I think they've done 2 split storylines with the Briscoes before. One at the very beginning of Ring of Honor, and one somewhere in between that led to Jay's initial singles run, if I remember correctly. But that's Ring of Honor TV for this week, Gary. Hopefully we get some good stuff next. It is a little sparse, but the wrestling action was definitely top notch.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you. And, it wasn't too talky, even though they did have a little bit of it here and there. They actually had quite a bit of wrestling action. So, great episode. And, looking forward to a really good one this weekend. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we are going to talk some Impact. So, let's just jump into this. Especially since, we don't even need a theme for this, because it's kind of funny. We don't even know what they call themselves, really. So, yeah. Impact is what we call them.
I don't know if their TV even knows what they are anymore, because they're showing stuff from Mexico, they're showing stuff from Japan, they're showing stuff from Canada. Just sort of everywhere, and stuff like filmed at home is kind of sparse here. So, we get some highlights of Lashley and American Top Team arriving, along with Moose and Stephen Bonner, since they have announced that they're going to have their big match at Bound for Glory now. And then we go over to the Crash in Mexico to see the tag team match between James Storm and EC3 taking on El Hijo de Fantasma and Tejano. This was very confusing, Gary, because Team AAA can now no longer seem to work together in this instance of the feud, and James Storm and EC3 are having problems. And if nobody can work together, what's the point of feuding promotions?
Oh, Okay, so it's almost like saying, hey, you guys are screwed up, so are we!
Yeah.
Let's have a fight. Let's see who can go into the dissension first. Last time it was Team Impact that went into dissension, and now you have, Team AAA going into dissension, causing, the other to win. So, you have EC3 and James Storm standing victorious in the middle of this AAA ring. It's also kind of funny. You notice that they're doing that theme of if they have one of the other companies, guys in the ring, they'll always win in the other guy's home temp.
Well, this one was a little weird. This one took place in the Crash. This wasn't in AAA.
Oh, it's right. It was in Crash, wasn't it? Okay.
Yeah. But you're
weird.
right.
It's still weird.
Yeah, they're definitely playing the away game here as James Storm and EC3 as far as countries go, and they end up getting the win. I wasn't overly invested before. I don't know if this did anything to really further that for me.
I'm surprised you'd be invested at all with James Storm involved in the picture.
Well, you do have my close personal friend EC3 in there, and
who Impact hates now.
Yes, it's the subject of many of our phone calls since he's traveling all over the world now. Worldwide superstar EC3.
Worldwide superstar with a great vocal ability that does not get to be used anymore. It just frustrates me. It really does. It bothers me week in and week out when I see EC3 wasting his time. Maybe I'm wrong, Paul, but I just look at him and I say to myself, you're so talented. You have so much to offer. You are doing great. And now that Dixie's gone, you are not anything.
That's basically what it feels like. He does have the secondary championship, I believe, still. I think he's still the Impact champion. What do you call that? I don't even know what that secondary title is called. The Grand Championship title. Yeah, the Grand Championship. Thank you. It's still a thing, even though I know you wish it wasn't.
Dear God. Just give him the purple Jeff Hardy head belt, and then that's better.
Maybe they will. Let's move on. It did nothing for the feud at all. I don't think for anybody.
It sucked.
Yeah, this is not good. Eli Drake is backstage on his phone. Dutch Mantel comes in and meets with him, and he's mad at him because he missed a media appearance. And Drake doesn't really care. He says, "Just put my face on posters everywhere. That'll take care of all your problems. That'll take care of everything, Dutch." Dutch leaves and then goes to bitch to Scott D'Amore about Eli Drake. Jim Cornette shows up and is like, "Dutch, you're right. He's kind of a dick." And Scott D'Amore just gets pissed and storms off.
I actually kind of really like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think Eli Drake is just wonderful on the mic. I think he has a lot to offer. There's a lot of people that don't like Eli in the ring. Kind of like they you hear about the Miz, right? But I think he's got something on the mic for sure. And I think he's a decent talent in the ring too. I think he's improved. So saying all that, I really like this backstage stuff. He's basically saying, look, I'm the champion. I get to decide what I get to do. You guys, you're not promoting me enough. My face isn't everywhere. You guys, don't respect me, so I'm not going to respect you. I really like that approach, and not that I'm saying that I like that kind of, stuff taking place with the champion, because I get it. That's a bad guy kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I definitely appreciate it. I kind of like the showing that the authority figures are all pissed off too about it. I dig it. So that was one thing that I really enjoyed on this show for sure.
I kind of like the angle here, as you were saying. Eli Drake basically seems to be somebody who the company was shaky on getting behind, and this episode is basically all about Eli for the most part, as far as, when you stay inside the Impact Zone, not when you really go outside the country for all these other matches. But Eli, we're going to see this keep going on throughout the night, that, he's too busy to do anything other than talk on the phone, Gary. He's not interested in doing all the Impact promotional stuff because, he feels like he's bigger than the company, I think, at times. They're just not doing enough for him, and that's the bloated, runaway, asshole heel thing is something we got to see EC3 do very well. And Eli's kind of doing his own spin on it, and I'm not saying I'm completely on board with him yet as I continue to sort of be on that rocky boat of I like him this week, I hate him the next week. But I thought he did good work this week, honestly.
I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. And, you're never going to have another Rock. I really don't think you're ever. It's going to take someone super special to be The Rock. But I'll say this: the reason I want to kind of compare him to The Rock is that arrogance. He brings that rhythm to his promos that I think The Rock kind of had too. Of if you close your eyes and you listen to him talk and the way he kind of brings things out, it's like, that's kind of how The Rock used to talk to people. Kind of like, come back when you have something that's worth my time. You guys are always wasting my time. Let me tell you about the match really quickly here in 4 words, and then, all right, get out of here, jabroni, kind of thing, right? And that's kind of what he does to, I think it's Holly. I think the interviewer name is, I can't remember.
Mackenzie Mitchell.
Was it Mackenzie? Okay. Yeah, she does an interview with him, and he basically just kind of quickly just blows her off after he kind of gives a quick synopsis of the match. And I just think he does such a wonderful job. And here's the other thing. He is busy. They need to leave him alone. He's on the phone. It's hard to replace Aaron Rodgers, on your fantasy team. You got to find that replacement. I mean, it's difficult, guys. I mean, come on. And, maybe he was trying to find Baltimore's defense. He'd been the smartest guy playing Baltimore's defense on that Thursday night game. Maybe that's what he was doing. Come on.
Ain't that the truth, man? I picked them up for one of my leagues, and I am not regretting it so far.
I got 33 points. Very happy with it.
Yeah. Enough fantasy football talk, though. It's time to go to Border City Wrestling up in Canada. We get some clips of OVE taking on Phil Atlas and Brent Banks. This is not a strong 4 minutes of work. It's more OVE doing what they usually do. And honestly, I mean, Atlas and Banks kind of had some cooler stuff going on for them than OVE did.
It's funny you say that, because I kind of thought to myself, who are they trying to promote here?
Yeah.
So, Border City, your guys are looking pretty darn good over here, huh? Yeah, I mean, I think it worked out the way they kind of do work out, right? Where, despite all the odds and despite the other tag team looking a little bit more, athletic or whatever you want to call it, it worked out in the way of OVE, and that's okay. They're the tag champs, and they come out looking good, even though maybe they weren't the best in the ring at that night.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We get some more clips for the Moose and Bonner Lashley American Top Team feud, which we're going to talk a lot more about later. And then we get to go to Pro Wrestling Noah to get some clips of a match that I would really recommend you people try to go seek out in full, as the GHC champion Eddie Edwards takes on Naomichi Marufuji. It's from October 1st, and I still need to finish watching this show, but I've heard nothing but absolutely stupendous things. Match of the year candidate is what people are calling it, and it's kind of hard to blame them. But I think the stuff they give you here is nice, and you get to see Edwards get that the clean win over basically Noah's top guy. Still, I would say.
Yeah, and you're right. And this match was good. Now, Impact really is not fair in this for the fact that they don't give you the entire match. You'll see cut off parts. So they kind of took away part of it to make, I'm sure, the time that they needed to make here on this episode of Impact. So, I think if you can find this match in full, I think that's when you can start talking contender of the year and things like that. But anyway, from what I saw, very well done. It's kind of funny though. I had that moment of feeling like I was Jim Ross. I'm sitting there saying, "My God, are they going to sell anything?" I mean, Marufuji, it looked like he just totally just knocked Eddie Edwards' nose off his face with that kick, and just like, oh, but hey, guess what? I have a clothesline for you, Marufuji. And I was like, if anybody ever kicked me in the face like that, I guarantee you I wouldn't be talking for 2 weeks. So,
just start the count, ref. I ain't getting up.
Yeah, just go ahead. I'm done for the night. You can have my title. There you go. So nonetheless, though, I know that's an old school way of looking at it. This is also in Japan, so you got to take all those things into consideration. But it was just kind of funny to me. I thought it was very well done. Really happy with this match.
Yeah, like I said, I need to go back and watch this in full, but people are giving it 4.5 on the old star rating there, if your people are curious. Most of the places, at least that I've seen too. So, go check it out. Expand your minds and stuff, OVE meets and talks about their issues with LAX, and they tease bringing in a member of their family. You have a mystery dude show up and gives the thumbs down. And, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that it's Sami Callihan. This has been rumored for a pretty long time as far as Impact has gone about bringing him in since, I think the middle of this year is when the rumors started. So, looking forward to seeing what Sami can do in this company. Then we move to that promo that me and Gary were talking about earlier with Eli Drake and Mackenzie Mitchell. And then for some reason we need to see Laurel Van Ness double fisting champagne bottles in the crowd before we cut back to Border City Wrestling to see Petey Williams and a four-way with Tarek, Idris Abraham, and Kiyomiya. This is a quick 5 minutes, but Petey does look pretty darn good in this.
I kind of felt like that was the whole point of the match.
Yeah.
I think they were just like, hey, Petey, you get to look good tonight. It's like, I'm down with that, eh?
Yeah.
So, good job for Petey. I think more interestingly, this whole thing with Laurel Van Ness, I don't know. I don't know, Paul. I want to get behind the character, find out what they're going to do, but I just don't know. I wish more importantly that she would offer that kid the champagne and they would have let the kid drink it.
What a great message that would have sent to the people watching on Pop TV.
Well, yeah, I just want to see that kind of heat. I think the kind of heat that she'd get from that, people on Twitter, how dare you? I mean, come on, then people would be watching Impact for sure, like to see this happen again. Think about it, Impact. One time, take the heat, and then you'll get lots of viewers.
It's an option, I guess.
I mean, come on, it's there for you. Just try. I'm just saying. What do you got to lose?
So, steering away from advocating children drink alcohol.
Hey, this is a global show. I mean, in Italy, they're drinking it like at 9. So,
Eli Drake teams up with Chris Adonis to take on Johnny Impact and Garza Jr. And this is, of course, all fallout from Impact and Garza's match last week, or 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, where Impact got the win. Garza Jr.'s made the save for him in his attacks that Eli Drake and Chris Adonis have inflicted on him. And, Impact and Garza end up coming out with a victory here as Adonis accidentally knocks Drake off the apron. Impact rolls him up again, and that's how all she wrote.
The match I expected. That's all I want to say about this one. I mean, I think that they did a fine job. All these guys, put in the effort. I think they did a decent job of it. But nothing over the top for me. Didn't really, say, oh man, this is one of Johnny's Impact's better matches or anything. No, I think they just kind of gave you the normal tag match, gave you all those great moments where, you want to root for Johnny Impact, you want to root for Garza, and they made you feel happy about all that and the way they won. So, good stuff, from that point of view, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I think this was a lot of the usual too, but the work is still pretty darn good. It gets a little boring down the stretch because I think you see the finish coming pretty quickly, but it's fine. I didn't have any complaints at the end. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's kind of what you expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They then reveal to you that Alberto El Patron is returning at Bound for Glory, Gary. Everybody is excited, I'm sure.
I'm glad they are. That's fine. Then let's see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. I've never been a big Patron fan. He's okay. It doesn't bother me that he's coming. It's just I've never been big on what he has to offer.
He had me when he first came out the gate in WWE, and his return to Lucha Underground and his work in Ring of Honor were both super good the first time, right after he left WWE too. So, since he's gotten to Impact, though, they very much catered to him, and it didn't really work out all that well, if you ask me. More harm than good.
I'm surprised they didn't come out and say, "Oh, do you need some water while this match is going on? Do you need something else?" You know,
no mumps here.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Patron spreading other things, not mumps.
Yeah. Let's go to the crash out in Mexico, Gary. Let's talk about this Trevor Lee versus Ultimo Ninja, who is Garza Jr.'s brother. And this is maybe 6-7 minutes. This is not really much of anything. It's another chance to show off one of their guys looking strong in a different country and a different promotion as Trevor Lee gets the win with the double foot stomp.
Ultimate Ninja is kind of fun to watch, though.
Yeah, I did not mind him at all. Like, the work here is great. It's just nobody in that crowd cared at all about this match.
Oh, no. You're completely right about that. It is what it is. I get it. Maybe they're just not down with Trevor Lee. They don't know much about him, maybe, or they just don't care. That happens sometimes. That's the downfall of going to different countries, and their guy versus this other foreign guy that they just don't know a lot about. It kind of affects things sometimes. But I think Trevor Lee did fine. It is what it is. I don't dislike the match, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I will say this though, I really enjoyed the video package that they had for Trevor Lee here.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just a really fun. Now they've done this kind of before, the guy's like, I'm not on the poster. Where am I supposed to be going? But I love it. He's going around and he's talking about, who am I supposed to face? He's like, where's the promoter? And someone says, oh, Nacho. Nacho pointed to Nacho, goes, oh, Nacho Libre? I like that movie. It's So I'll have to give it to him. Trevor did a great job with the comedy. I really thought it was funny. So props to them.
We get some more clips for Global Forged, which is, I don't know if we want to keep ragging on how bad this is, Gary, but it's here.
God. But yeah, I don't know if we should rag on it anymore.
Okay.
Let's just say we don't like it, okay?
It happened, guys. It's a thing. We'll just move on.
Yeah, there you go.
Clips of King Mo talking bad stuff about Moose, breaking into the gym, etiquettes, and all this stuff that I didn't really care about. And then you have Moose take on Lashley one-on-one. You got all the usual suspects at ringside, Dan Lambert, American Top Team, and Stephen Bonner. 12 minutes or so. This ends up ending in a DQ as Dan Lambert runs in and attacks Moose as it looks like he's about to put Lashley away. This leads to a huge brawl as Bonner jumps in to make the save, and then the rest of America Top Team jumps in, swarms them. Moose comes back into the ring with a chair to make the save, and then powerbombs the dude over the top rope to the floor on all of the guys waiting to catch him, and then reveals that at Bound for Glory, the tag match is going to be inside 6 sides of steel. All right. I mean, I have zero interest in what's happening here.
Yeah, I think me and you were in agreement on that. Here's the thing, and I know what they're getting at here, and I think that they're hoping to grab onto the MMA fans, the UFC fans, people that, watch that product, and maybe they popped over to Pop TV and, oh, wow, look over here. I see this guy I know from MMA, and there's a guy named King Mo that I don't really know anything about, but apparently he's a deal. Overall, I just don't really find this all that appealing. Now, I will say that they added the stipulation at the end that this is 6 sides of steel. I think that works for the match. Mm-hmm. To me, it does bring something to the match that they didn't have before. So I'm okay with that. I think I'm down. But besides that, I'm right there with you. I just have never really found this feud all that appealing. The wrestling versus MMA. It just, to me, I'm not going to say it exposes anything, but in a way, it just does not fit well with me. It doesn't really fit well, whatever you want to say. I just don't have that great feeling about it.
Yeah, I'll give you the 6 sides of steel makes sense, and I don't want to take away from this match, too. I think Moose and Lashley had a really hard-hitting 10 minutes of action here that sort of lets you, get a nice taste of what you're going to get at the pay-per-view, but just all the extracurriculars and the story they're trying to tell here, I would have much rather this been about Moose and Lashley try to prove who's the bigger badass in the company. Because they both have been booked super strong. Instead, you get this tacked on MMA stuff, and while I'm kind of interested in seeing Stephan Bonner wrestle because I enjoyed his MMA work, there's nothing else about this feud that's drawing me in, that's making me care. And I'm sure that's not what you want here, especially if the plan, which from the looks of it, is to put Moose over here. It's not doing anything. I don't know if it's helping Moose or hurting him at this point.
I'm right there with you. I think if you just let those two guys do their thing, just you could have thrown in a few of the MMA things and have some of those guys, but not all the time have America's top team over there, fighting all the time, beating up everybody. It just doesn't work. I think now if you would have had an angle where, the Impact roster would have came out and cleared house, that way they've just been about Moose and Lashley, I think that works. But otherwise, I just wish they'd have left all those other guys at home. Save the money on the plane ticket. Just let those other guys stay at, wherever they need to stay. And I'm okay with that. But, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I really wish that they would have really done that focus. I agree with you. And this is probably about Moose, being that next big thing for Impact.
Mm-hmm. We'll just have to wait to see, though. We got next week's Impact, and then we got Bound for Glory. So I guess we'll preview this show next week.
Yeah, there you go. So it's coming fast. I'm, as much as sometimes I make fun, as much as, I give Impact a hard time on some of these things, I really am kind of looking forward to Bound for Glory, to be honest with you. I think there's some things here that could be fun.
I'm looking forward to pieces of the show. I don't know if I'm looking forward to watching the whole show in its entirety, but I mean, Impact always surprises me. I go into a pay-per-view sort of dreading having to watch it, and then suddenly it's quite good, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think the one thing that I got to hear on Bound for Glory is Josh Matthews continually referencing WWE. And he does it again. I didn't mention it earlier on this show, but he does mention them again and says, oh, yeah, they copy things all the time, like, watch Monday and Tuesday nights. So, hey, there you go. You're watching Impact, but you guys are doing something else. You need to be watching Monday and Tuesdays, apparently.
Yeah. What are you watching our show for? Go back, watch it on demand.
Yeah, exactly. So it just boggles my mind. Anyway, we are going to do something even better than this. We are going to talk about crowning a Superstar of the Week. That's right. We'll do that right after this.
Superstar of the Week.
Well, it froze up on me, so take it away, Gary.
All right, well, that's okay, because sometimes I freeze up too. Superstar of the Week, we'll start out by giving 1 point to Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Kurt Angle got to make his very short notice return to pay-per-view and wrestling and WWE, all that on Sunday's TLC event, and that was pretty cool for him, and we had him in our intro talking about what a big moment it is, and it felt like a big deal, him getting involved in all the Shield stuff, so we gave him a point. Welcome back, Kurt.
Definitely welcome back, and I know I kind of teased because he looked like a dad wearing that Shield outfit,
sure did.
But I had a girl in her, she may be in 20, she may be like 19, making fun of me for being a dad. So I feel you, Kurt. I feel you. I got told to stop dad dancing the other day.
Are you dressing up in like prince outfits while your daughter's the princess? Like I don't think it's the same correlation.
Well, I was just saying, I was doing a little, you listen to music, you kind of dance, and she's like, stop doing a dad dance. And I'm like, oh, sorry. So I'm just saying, I kind of felt like that. But Kurt Angle is way cooler than me, way more ripped, so he can be called a dad whenever. He's awesome. Yeah. Not me. 2 points are going to go to Finn Balor.
The Finn earns these 2 points mostly for how he's booked on Sunday against AJ and that terrific match those two had on TLC. Unfortunately, not as high as some of these other people we're going to talk about because on Monday they just fed him right back to Kane. So 50-50 booking, that means 2 points.
I'm still a little depressed about that, but I will get over it.
Yeah, you can hear us rage about it over on the Raw review show if you guys haven't listened to that yet.
Yeah, go do that because definitely you'll hear some frustration.
For sure.
3 points are going to be headed over to Almas.
Yeah, wonderful main event this week on NXT against Roderick Strong. Almas continuing his victorious surge towards possibly challenging for the NXT Championship TakeOver.
I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be something that's going to be one of the bigger parts of the show for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait.
4 points are going to go to AJ Styles.
Yeah, I mean, what a week this guy's had. Fills in for Bray Wyatt on TLC, has that great match with Finn. Comes to Raw, absolutely crushes it in a 6-man tag with The Shield against The Miz and The Bar, and then comes in and just wrecks one of the Singh brothers on SmackDown. I mean, 3 nights in a row on TV, if that's not worth 4 points, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and definitely for me, he's getting some of those points for, getting on that plane for 18 hours to get back over to the States to do all this.
Yeah, what a warrior.
Yeah. Boy, I just couldn't imagine how tired he was. So, yeah, AJ Styles, you're amazing. 4 points, definitely well deserved. Mm-hmm. We got 5 points in our Superstar of the Week being crowned the Shield.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins take home those 5 points. Wonderful main event. Maybe not as good as Finn and AJ, but still fun in the TLC match at TLC. And then they come in and have that great 6-man tag with AJ and crew. Continuing to look awesome, and then they kind of get beat up a little bit by SmackDown at the end of Raw, but what a week those two had. Definitely holding up the Shield banner strong while Roman is fighting the mumps.
Oh, definitely, and hopefully they keep clear of that disease. Hopefully the Shield can overcome this disease. Wouldn't it be so sad if all those guys got sick and the Shield wasn't very strong?
You think as they were getting inoculated, they were thinking that this is justice?
Yeah. There you go. The Hounds of Justice. Yeah. Oh boy. I'm just so worried right now. I'm thinking how bad that could be. But yeah, congratulations to the Shield. I think that they're doing some great things and really looking forward to them being whole again. So, and I'll even say this, when Raw was getting attacked, when I saw the Shield jumping out and attacking the SmackDown guys, that was the one group that I said, hey, at least they can get some damage when everybody else just took the beating.
It's true.
Really happy with that. All right, well, guys, that is our show for tonight. We definitely appreciate you for joining us. This has been a total blast, but we have to move on and get on with other things while you guys do the same, and so we appreciate you joining us. Make sure you go check out everything over there at W2Mnet.com. Gives you not only our great content, but you can go also find Wrestling Unwrapped and all these other great wrestling shows that you don't want to miss. The Running Wild guys, they'll do a really great show. So many other ones. I'm going to stop naming names because I'm going to miss somebody. But go check out all those great shows over there at W2Mnet.com. And don't forget to go hit that subscribe button when you come find us at Wrestling to the Max, wherever you get us, iHeartRadio or, once again, YouTube, maybe listen to us on Spreaker, wherever you get us. Make sure you don't forget to go hit that subscribe button. And also rate and review while you're over there if you haven't already. That just gives us a little bit more exposure. Not only that, we get to hear all your great feedback. We appreciate that. And, I also want to give big props over to Formula1Mania.com and Last Word on ProWrestling.com. They're great supporters of our show. We appreciate everything that they do for us. Yeah, and we're really looking forward to next week and everything that we have to offer. Lots of great shows coming your way, so be looking forward to that. But until then, for myself and for Paul Leazar, we will catch you guys down the road.
Have a good one, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.